Welcome to Envision Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success presents The Momentum Shift. A show where we get inspired, we get moving, and we get results. Every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern with your host, Eric Collier. He's the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, bringing you inspiring interviews and empowering stories that will help to improve lives. If you're ready to start making the impossible possible, then you've joined the right show, because the Momentum Shift is what you've been looking for.
Hello and welcome to the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show, where every week we focus on getting you inspired, getting you moving so you can get results. I'm your host, Eric Collier, also known as the Mayor of Motivation, and as always, I'm glad to have you join us. This week, very important topic as always, but as we look at the 2024 coming to an end, what's next for you? You know, you probably had a great year, a challenging year, I'm sure. That's why you're here on the Momentum Shift, trying to figure out how to shift your life into a new direction, shift into a new gear where you're accomplishing great things. And so as we want to continue that momentum and keep it going into 2025, we have to take a look at the mental quicksand dilemma and ask ourselves, how do I break free and stay free? This is a great topic simply because, like I said, the year is coming to an end. And as we move on to next year, what are you going to accomplish next year? What would you like to do that you're not doing now? And what's holding you back from doing those things? And that's something we have to take a look at. So I'm really excited to have you join us, because today is all about empowering you to break free from mental quicksand and helping you unlock that true potential inside of you. Here's a question I have. Did you know that 76% of Americans feel stuck in their lives and 51% feel stuck in their careers? And that's according to a Gallup poll of 2020. And it's a staggering statistics when you look at the widespread struggle of mental quicksand. And it's a and mental quicksand, if you're not sure exactly what it is, it's a debilitating state of mind that holds us captive, and it prevents us from really moving forward and achieving the goals we set for ourselves. And in some case, we won't even set a goal for ourselves. So this is why mental quicksand is important. This is why moving forward, it starts with us tapping into who we are, really tapping into that self-awareness piece and understanding those things that might be holding us back and why we might not be moving forward. So excited to have you joining me this week. I want to share an example of someone who I came across a few years ago, and realizing that, you know, she came up with this technique that I want to share with you to break free from her own mental quicksand. And her name is Mel Robbins. She's an author of the book, The 5-Second Rule. I really enjoyed this book, listened to it on audiobook as well. Really enjoyed listening to her talk about it, because Mel was somebody who was struggling to find her footing after losing her job, and she was struggling with anxiety and trying to figure out where she wanted to go in her life, because she really wasn't happy as an attorney. So she was, and even she was doing several different shows as well, but she was really trying to find her next move, trying to figure out why she was stuck. But she discovered this power of taking imperfect action. And I think that's the key right there, taking imperfect action. Because when we look at mental quicksand and we look at what it does, it paralyzes us. We don't really know where to go. So uncertainty, I want you to understand, we're going to talk about today, is the key to moving forward. But when you talk about Mel Robbins and how she discovered the power of taking imperfect action, one of her system, the 5-second rule, dealt with realizing that she's going through this mental quicksand mode where she's spiraling down into the questions and the paralyzing fears and things like that. What she did, she started to count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom. Then she had to take action after that. And I like the way she described it or explained why she went 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it was simply this: if you need to come out of that mental quicksand, that anxiety state of mind where you're spiraling and and you're paralyzed by fears, doubts, and worries, that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, after one, there's nothing left. There's nowhere else to go. So you got to get up and take action. You need something to inspire you, to get you moving. And that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you got to get up now and make it happen. If she said if she went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, numbers aren't infinite. She could have went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and just kept going on and never really moved, never got out of bed, never got off the couch. So I like that concept of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because that's a way to really break out of that mental quicksand state of mind. And as Mel Robbins says, she says the biggest difference between people who are successful and people who are not is that successful people are willing to take action despite their fears. Think about that. Are you willing to take action despite your fears? If you think about the things that are holding you back, if you think about the things you've always wanted to do and never done, why haven't you taken action on those things? Why have you allowed those things to hold you back? And I think as we explore the common traits that keep people stuck, and we talk about the statistics on today's show of how feeling stuck and it really keeps people from moving forward, we're going to really provide you some strategies for breaking free from that mental quicksand. So join us today, and I'm excited to join us. And I'm excited to have you with us in overcoming this mental quicksand and unlocking your full potential, because this is going to be key. If you want to be successful next year, you want to accomplish things that you once believed to be impossible, if you want to live in that life that you thought only people on television could do, I'm going to tell you right now, breaking free of that mental quicksand, overcoming the fears, doubts, and worries that are holding you back is going to be key. So when we come back, we're going to dive right into mental quicksand and understanding how you break free so you can stay free. Welcome back to the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show. I'm your host, C. Eric Collier, also known as the Mayor of Motivation. And this week, as I mentioned earlier, we're diving in to the mental quicksand dilemma, understanding how you break free and stay free. So when we talked about Mel Robbins and how she found herself stuck in her own mental quicksand, and anxiety, the fears, doubts, and worries were dominating her life and holding her back from really becoming the person she wanted to be and come away from what she didn't want to live in. I want to remind you that mental quicksand, I want to really give you this definition of what mental quicksand is. It's a state of mind that suffocates our potential, hindering us from achieving our goals and living a fulfilling life. And you characterize it through your self-doubt, the fear and uncertainty. Imagine feeling stuck and you're trapped and unable to move forward in your life. Think about that. That, ladies and gentlemen, when you look at, I always go back to childhood. You know, a child, when they're growing up, they really want to do the things that other people are doing. But as they start to grow older, they see others doing what they do, but they also realize that they have some things that they want to do. And they start moving forward with those dreams, trying to chase those dreams, trying to become that person they want to become. But for somewhere in our lives, as we get older, that starts to slow down, because we start to become aware that people around us aren't doing those things we've always wanted to do. Maybe it's not possible for us. We start to become aware that the people who are teaching us don't believe in us, so we don't really try as well. And maybe we've had some failures and we don't want to be embarrassed by feel embarrassed or looked at upon as being worthless or useless. And we start to bring that into our own mindset. That's where we start to get stuck. And we stop chasing our dreams. We stop moving forward. We stop believing in who we could become. And we just become what everybody else around us has become. People who are what I call choosing average over mediocrity. Average over greatness, which should actually be greatness over mediocrity. And so that's why we're talking about this show here today, because I want to share with you, I always talk, I have an opportunity to speak as a keynote speaker, and coach and facilitator, and just somebody who's always looking for an opportunity to help. I mentor high school students as well. And I always talk about being stuck in my own mental quicksand. And I look at, for a long time, I wanted to become a professional athlete. But when that vision, that dream died, and I had to hang my cleats up, I didn't know where to go. I only saw it as one way into the professional baseball. I didn't see the other opportunities there for me. I didn't believe I could actually do those things of becoming a trainer, a coach, uh, an owner, or someone in the front office. I didn't see that for myself, and so when I had to hang up my cleats, I just thought I was done. I didn't have anything else to offer, and so I think about it now. I see myself for years telling myself I wasn't this person. I couldn't do these things. And all these opportunities that would come my way, I would always turn them down, even though deep in my heart, I wanted to do them. I'll give you an example. I wanted to speak. When I started my transforming my life into understanding the power that I have to really change things for myself and create a new future for myself, I still didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe in the power that I had to change my life. In fact, my mom always told me she didn't raise no dummies. She always told me I was smart. My teachers would always tell me I could be a straight A student if I really put my mind to it, about how intelligent I was. But I didn't believe that about myself. And so as I started my transformation and realized that I wanted to become a motivational speaker, opportunities started coming my way, and I would turn them down. Case in point, I said I wanted to work with the great Les Brown. I wanted him to teach me. I wanted him to. And when I had him on the phone and he said he could do those things, he could teach me how to speak, I quickly said no. That day, I kicked myself in the butt for being just scared of all the things that I was, wanting were right there. Just being scared to accept that, to say yes, and falling into those old habits of not believing in myself. I kicked myself, and for years I was stuck in my own mental quicksand. It would take me another 5 to 7 years. Excuse me, 2004, 2009, and then you're looking at 2015 and then 2020 before I would actually get a chance to work with Les Brown. And so I tell you this story and I talk about momentum shifting because the mental quicksand, ladies and gentlemen, is real. It will keep you stuck. It will hold you back. And it's not anybody outside doing it. It's what you're allowing to be done by yourself. There's that story, there's that talk about the battle within. And if we don't conquer that battle within, that demon that's inside of us, our brain telling us that we're no good, we're self-sabotaging our efforts, we're keeping ourselves from moving forward, what I call blocking our own blessings. If we don't stop that, we can go on for the rest of our lives living in that mental quicksand state of mind, not being happy, relationships going to the wayside. We're losing people that we love. We're watching them walk out of our lives. We're stuck in a career that we don't want, or we're missing out on opportunities to have a career that we want. And so all of that, ladies and gentlemen, there are people who decide to take charge of their lives and change that. And I want that for you. I want you to change that because I don't want to see you go to your grave with all these gifts, talents, and abilities that you have been blessed with, and take them and never really experience living in them, seeing what they can do for your life, how they can change things for you. So that's what my story is all about, overcoming mental quicksand. That's why I say momentum shifting, because when I exactly started saying yes to the things that I've always wanted, the opportunities that I wanted to operate in, and understanding that the things that were coming my way were helping me build instead of beating me down, the challenges, tests, and opportunities were helping me. Oh my goodness, life changed. And so that's why I talk about momentum shifting, because my life went from being stuck to doing those things I love, from doing those, from living in and looking at life as those impossible, to doing what I believe to be impossible on a daily basis. So now, like I said, gone from stuck to speaking, to helping, coaching, mentoring, and speaking with people that I always thought I'd never be able to touch. So that's enough on that. I talk on that one a lot. I babbled on that one too much, but I really want to emphasize the importance of overcoming this mental quicksand state of mind. So, in this episode, long story, we're finally getting to this point, right? In this episode, we're going to dive into the stifling effects of mental quicksand. I've talked a lot about them and how they paralyze your decision making and how it erodes your confidence and your self-esteem. I also talk about how it limits your creativity and your innovation. You don't even see the talents and gifts you have inside of you because you don't believe you can do those things. But the relationships, man, so many people have been left behind by loved ones. So many people have missed out on the connections that could really change their lives or really help them create that level of happiness that they want to live in. So that joy is gone. So we're going to talk about those things. We're also going to discuss some of the fear and failure that's holding you back, the self-doubt that you have. And I mentioned that imposter syndrome. Man, imposter syndrome is deadly if you fall a victim to it. And then perfectionism, so many times like I mentioned, we don't want other people to see us failing or see us as a failure. So everything has to be perfect. It has to be the right moment, the right time, and before we move on. Well, guess what? We're going to talk about that perfectionism and how it holds you back, because you don't have to have all the answers to get started. More importantly, we're going to leave you with some strategies that are going to help you break free from mental quicksand. How you're going to build that resilience and courage in your life. You've got to have that if you want to bounce back and move forward. My good friend, Dr. Willie Jolly, says a setback is a setup for a comeback. And I ask you, if you're in a setback right now, what are you being set up for in the future? That's what I want to ask you today. What are you being set up for? Because you're not being set back for a reason. You're being set up for a reason. I tell you, you put in this life to have victories, to live a fulfilling life, to live the life that you were designed to. You have these gifts, talents, and abilities, like I mentioned earlier, that help you accomplish some great things. I want you to really step out of that belief that setbacks were designed to keep you back. They're designed to set you up for some great stuff. So stand by. We're going to move into a quick commercial. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the stifling effects of mental quicksand. See you shortly. Hey, welcome back to the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show, where this week I mentioned, and we talked about it so far, we're talking about the stifling effects of mental quicksand. And we're going to talk about how you can break free and stay free to accomplish some great things. So in this segment, we're going to talk about the stifling effects of mental quicksand. And we got to start back, because I always got to remind you what mental quicksand is. If you never heard that phrase, if you've never talked about it or thought about it, maybe you're calling it something else, but I call it mental quicksand because I think about being stuck and just sinking and sinking and sinking. What is it? Simply put, it's that state of mind that suffocates our potential, hindering us from achieving our goals and living a fulfilling life. How many of you know somebody who may be in that state of mind? Well, if you are, if you know somebody, or if it's you yourself, hey, let's listen to this episode. Take some action, take some notes, because afterwards, I want you to go to work and really start moving forward with your life. Because as you start identifying what's holding you back and start identifying the things that can take you forward, you're going to accomplish some things that you never thought you could accomplish. And you're going to start turning your 2025 into something great. So we take a look at the stifling effects of mental quicksand. How many of you ever heard paralysis through analysis? So many times we start diving into the doubts, the what ifs. What if it doesn't work? What if they laugh at me? What if I fail? What if it never happens? Or what if I'm crazy, right? There's so many different what ifs. And you start diving, and those what ifs start spiraling you down. And you get so caught up in the what ifs that you never start taking action. Your decision-making ability goes away because you never make one. I mean, not making one is making not making a decision is making a decision. However, you never make the decision to take action. Mental quicksand Like I said, it's just that powerful state of mind. It can be broken though. You can come out of the mental quicksand. I'm an example. I mentioned Mel Robbins. There are many other ones who have gotten caught up in mental quicksand and broken free to really go on and really accomplish some great things in life. I talk about your confidence level for a second. Why is your confidence shattered? What happened to you that you've gone from believing that you could accomplish all things through Christ who strengthens you to, I don't think I can do that. I'm not that person. That's not for me. Why do you believe that about yourself? I really want you to take a look at that because that in itself is debilitating. When you tell yourself something, you'll start to believe it. I say that what you sell yourself, excuse me, what you tell yourself, you sell yourself. And many times people don't think about that. Let's look at this. I have grandkids and I help them with their homework. Go figure, right? As somebody who wasn't the greatest in school, never really liked homework, I find myself now helping my grandkids do homework. But it's all good. I really enjoy it. But I teach them the techniques to really help them get through their homework. And one I can always remember is when we were learning our multiplication and we were learning our spelling words, our vocabulary words, one of the things that we did was we'd write them 5, 10 times a piece. And the reason for that is repetition. And the more we did it, the more we learned it. The more we learned, or the more we wrote them, the quicker we were when we were asked a question to respond. And so that's what I'm telling you about. The more you tell yourself you're not good enough, the more you tell yourself I'm not smart, I don't belong here, all these different things, you start believing it. So what you tell yourself, you sell yourself and you buy into it to the point where you're no longer moving forward. And you allow yourself to be stuck and never moving forward. And then what do? It's about relationships, right? They say, they say, what is it? Misery loves company. Well, guess what? If you're not happy, you start to connect with those individuals who are in the same situation, in that mindset. And my mom always told me that if you hang around with 9 people who are broke, who are not doing anything, who are up to no good, sooner or later you become that 10th person. So when you're of the mindset that you can't do anything, you're always looking for people to sit around and do that with. But there are those who say enough is enough. And you're here today, and I know you're saying enough is enough. Those who say enough is enough, flip the script and go on to get out of that momentum, that mental quicksand and create momentum in their lives to really change things. So I want to talk about you making sure you understand that, those straining relationships don't have to be. They can be better. All the things that you're going through, you're missing your joy and happiness in life. Doesn't have to be that way. You got to flip the script and look at things. I can tell you that I once went through a 352-day layoff and I couldn't get a job. It was difficult getting a job. The more I was into that layoff, the bills got behind, it was harder to get back to work. But I found that when I stopped looking at the layoff, the bills being behind, no money here, and struggling to do this, struggling to do that. When I stopped looking at it as woe is me, that I was being penalized, and start looking at it as though, hey, God, thank you very much for this opportunity, test, and challenge you've given me to take my life for another level. As I said, I realized that I wasn't being set back for good. I was being set back to be set up for my comeback. And my comeback took me, just like your comeback is going to take you, to doing some things that are great in your life, to doing some things that you never believed were possible. You're going to go through these storms if you just believe that the mental quicksand state of mind that you're in right now, you can come out of it. Trust me, I know you can. And that's why we're here today. Here, I'm going to run you through some quick statistics that I want you to think about as well. 76% of Americans feel stuck in their lives. Again, Gallup, that's a Gallup poll. 40% of employees worldwide report feeling trapped in their jobs. 64% of people feel stuck in a rut when it comes to their relationship, when it comes to their career, when it comes to their life, finances, religion. I mean, just so many different things. And you don't realize it when it's happening. And it can really, it takes that aha moment. And I'll give you an example. My aha moment came when I was asked these three questions that I always talk about. Three questions, powerful questions that I want you to understand. Man said, what have you done in your life over the last 5 years that has gotten you closer to accomplishing your dreams accomplishing your goals or significantly increasing your income? I wasn't doing anything. So the answer was no. He said, well, if you haven't done anything the last 5 years, what are you doing now? I wasn't doing anything. I said nothing. He said, well, if you haven't done anything the last 5 years, you're not doing anything right now. What do you think your next 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now are going to look like? And boom, that was my aha moment, because I realized that my next 5, 10, or 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, if I kept going, would look exactly like those last 10 years he just talked about, where I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't happy. I wasn't moving forward. I didn't have any goals. I didn't have any dreams that I was chasing. I didn't have a fulfilling purpose in my life. And I was not happy where I was. And at that moment, I realized I had to move on and change things. And so, what I want you to do is take this message this week with an open mind. The man told me, he said, your mind works like a parachute. It only works, it only works when it's open. So, I want you to make sure you open your mind today and understand that this mental quicksand state of mind could be possibly affecting you. And I want you to sit back, again, take some notes, and then focus on taking action when we get finished here today so that you can start moving forward. Change your 2025. It doesn't have to be like your 2024. And maybe you had some great successes during 2024. Now, that's beautiful. Let's see if we can increase those amount of successes. Let's see if we can get the momentum shifted and get some consistency where we're continuously getting victories after victories after victories. And then as we start moving forward, you'll see that people are watching you. People are following your every step, your every move. Some to say that they see you failing. Some to say, hey, if you can do it, I can do it. And I'm telling you right now, you can do it. And you can get your life back on track, moving forward, shifting the momentum and shifting and gaining the momentum you want in your life. If you just break free and stay free from the mental quicksand. Hey, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back for our next segment where we're going to talk about common traits that keep us stuck. I talked a little bit about them, but we're going to talk about these common traits and we're going to start helping you with some strategies to move forward. All right. Hey, welcome back. I'm Collier, the Mayor of Motivation, your host for the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show. We're going to dive back into mental quicksand, the dilemma, and how to break free and stay free. We're going to talk about these common traits that keep us stuck in life. Many times we're asking ourselves, how can I get out of this rut? Why am I stuck? Why am I not happy? How can I change things? Well, shifting out of this mental quicksand state of mind where we're allowing ourselves to be stuck in our disbelief, doubt, fears, and worries is a way to go. And that's where we got to start first, is shifting our mindset. Man said, well, like I said earlier, what you tell yourself, you sell yourself. So if you tell yourself you're not worthy, if you tell yourself you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you don't belong in these rooms that you're being put in, you'll never really succeed like you're designed to succeed. So that's why we're talking about momentum quicksand. So the traits I'm talking about today are like anchors, and they hold you back, and you never achieve the goals, and you never live the fulfilling life that you want to live. So let's talk about the fear of failure. Oftentimes we talk about the fear of failure, and I mentioned it several times on here, that we're worried about how we look to others. And so if we fail, we don't want to be looked upon as a failure. But I want you to know life is designed so that you never get it right the first time. So you're going to fail. And in many cases, until you really hone your skills and attempted on get many reps after reps after reps, you're gonna fail. But you sooner or later, you got to break free. You're gonna break through that barrier that's holding you back, but you got to keep going. And I really can't tell you how long it's gonna take you. I believe that the process is the process, and it takes as long as the process takes. So you've got to just keep moving, keep chopping away. Sooner or later, the tree is gonna drop, and you're gonna be on the other side of that barrier you want to be on, right? So I talk about the fear of failure, and everybody allows failure to hold us back. But I don't think many people look at the fear of success. Think about that for a second. Many people go, well, I want to succeed. I'm not afraid to succeed. But let's look at this. Let's talk about self-sabotage. We self-sabotage when we find ourselves getting at the level of our where it looks like we're exceeding our comfort zone. I like the book titled Psycho-Cybernetics, and it talks about each individual. We have this temperature, this thermostat, and we'll call it our comfort zone. And let's say our thermostat is set at 70. And as we perform below 70, we are awesome. We are excellent, outstanding, brilliant. We're killing the game. And as we get closer to that 70, we start to go, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm meeting my limitations. I can't go any further than that. And then when you start to see yourself go further, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm really uncomfortable. I'm overwhelmed with where I'm at right now. And what you do is you start dialing it back so you get back underneath that thermostat level that you want to be at, which is 70. So what I want you to look at is, I look at it like this. In order to move to another level, you have to break free from your limitations. You have a limit set because you believe you can only go so high based off of your what you believe to be your intelligence level, based off of your school grades, based off of what people around you are telling you, based off of what you see around you. You believe you can only go so far. I'll give you an example. When I got out of the military, I looked at I based the salary that I was going to shoot for based off of what I believe was just a little bit more than what my parents made. And so when I told the man $50,000, I'm sure he was shocked. I'm sure he was shocked because the field I was in had a higher ceiling than that. In fact, there are a lot of people who are a lot higher than that with less experience. And I would later find out that I sold myself short. So we tend to sell ourselves short and put a limit on us based off of those who are around us and how we're taught. But I want you to understand that you got to break free from the limit that you're setting to see the level of success you want to see. You can't operate tomorrow at a high level if you don't break free from that limit. I can tell you when I've been in sports all my life, and to get to another level, in our training, even in the military, in our training, they will exhaust you to a certain point where you're ready to give up and you think you won't have anything left. And they will keep pushing you and pushing you and pushing you. And you start to realize, I got more in the tank. Well, guess what? You've got more in your tank. Don't limit yourself. Keep pushing because nobody else is going to do it for you. You have enough in your tank. I'm telling you, keep pushing. You will always be surprised as you keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing what you can accomplish. Don't feel overwhelmed. You're only feeling overwhelmed because you've never been there before. But as you start operating, keep pushing and operating in that level that you move to, you'll learn how to manage it. You'll learn how to plan and work accordingly. You'll learn how to operate at that level. I'll give you another point. A young man walks into the basketball gym and he's playing, a gym, and he's playing basketball. He's a freshman in high school. He's playing with varsity level players who've gone to state, who've all-star players around the country, high ranked. He plays with them and he's getting dominated at first. But by year 2, he's getting better. He's starting to hang with them. And by year 3, he's dominating everybody else. So what I want you to know is that if you just get in the game and you start working hard and you start taking your bumps and bruises, you'll get better. Trust me, you'll get better and you'll start to dominate those who you're playing with. let's take a look at, I mentioned self-doubt and imposter syndrome. I think that, man, that imposter syndrome is huge. I can tell you that, when Dr. Martin Luther King made a statement, he goes, well, you got to prepare yourself for these rooms that where doors are going to open up for you that you've never been in before. And he he didn't say it, but if you think about it, in those rooms, there are going to be people who don't want you in there. Not only that, there are going to be people who believe you're not smart enough to be there, but you'll never imagine that you would be one of them. That's right. You can be your own hater. Sounds crazy, but you can be your own hater and you can beat yourself up. And I've talked about it. What you tell yourself, you sell yourself, and you start buying into it. You'll talk yourself right out of that room and you'll go back to the average room where you're actually better than and don't belong. So I want to encourage you, imposter syndrome, don't sell yourself short. You have so much inside of you. I believe there's a poem that I'm going to share with you later before we go, but we're going to talk about lack of clarity and purpose. The directionalist drifter. I think it's really interesting to think about. When a man asked me, he said, what have I done over the last 5 years to accomplish my goals or to significantly increase my income? I had no goals. And I think the quote goes, if you don't know where you're going, you'll soon end up there. And that's what happened to me. I had no direction in my life. I was just getting up, going on my daily grind each day in and day out, plucking away. At what? I don't know. I had no idea where I was going. I was just trying to survive and take care of my family. And I wasn't doing a great job, but we had a house, we had a car. We're struggling to pay our bills. We were struggling to stay in that house. They soon lost the car. But hey, I was just getting up, doing it every day, thinking that that's what my life was supposed to be, struggle. That's how I grew up, the struggle. So, hey, why should it change? And so I realized that I had to have some goals in my life. When I started working with that gentleman who took me under his wing and really start helping me understand how the successful operated, and I start reading books on like What Makes the Great Great and Live Your Dreams by Les Brown, What Makes the Great Great by Dr. Dennis Kimbro, and Think and Grow Rich, and all these other books, I started understanding that there's a vision that has to be had. You have to know where you want to go in order to get there. And at least you may not have the answers. You may not know everything. You may not, all your ducks may not be in a row, but you got to get started, right? A man told me, he said, you know what you want. You keep making up excuses, but when it really comes down to, sooner or later, you just got to do it. And you do. And you don't know where you're at, how good you are. You don't know if you got what it takes, but you got to get in the game and find out. You may find out that you're better than what you really are, what you think you are. You may find out that you're better than what others think you are, but you'll never know if you don't get in the game. You can sit back, and as a friend, my former neighbor used to tell me, he said, don't hot breath me to death. Basically saying, don't talk me to death, because there are people who talk around about what they're gonna do and what they're thinking about doing and what they'd like to do, but they never do those things. I had a young man who passed away at the age of 49, always said he's going to start his own business. He was just waiting on the money to get lined up. Well, the money never lined up, and he lost his life at 49. That business was never started. The people whose lives he was going to inspire, the lives he was going to change, people who he was going to make happy, never received the happiness from him. They had to get it from somebody else. So I want to encourage you, ladies and gentlemen, write down your vision. Write down the things you'd like to accomplish, even if you don't know how to get there, even if you don't know what it's going to take, even if you don't have the help. Write it down and just start taking that shot. You've got what it takes inside of you. I'm telling you, you've got what it takes. You're here for a reason. That's because you've never given up on yourself. You keep waking up every day because you believe that something's going to get better. Whether or not you're actively going at it, or whether or not you have you've started, whether or not you've actively gone at it, or whether or not you've got people who are backing you, you're still here. You're fighting for something. it's time to step up and start going after it. Perfectionism, I mentioned this earlier. Perfectionism is something that holds us back. You know what? It doesn't have to be perfect. I listen to, I'm a big, like I said, I've been a big sports fan. I've watched sports all my life, played sports as well. And one of the coaches that I like, I think he's one of the greatest actually in college that has ever coached college football. That's Mr. Nick Saban with the Alabama Crimson Tide and the LSU Tigers and Michigan State and various other teams. He said something that I thought was very important when it comes to changing your life, believing in yourself and realizing that you've got to get up and go to work every day, no matter what success you've had, no matter what failures you've had. And what he said was, it's tough to teach the king of the mountain that he's got more work to do. Think about that for a second. You're the king of the mountain. You're on the top of your game. You haven't been beaten. Nobody can come close to winning when it comes to you. You're accomplishing everything. You're hitting all your goals. You're reaching all your milestones. Excuse me. And you're winning. But guess what? When you're at the top of one mountain, you're at the bottom of another one. You know why? Because you should be under construction for life. Nobody's perfect in this world, but we got a gap that we got to cross. And that gap is from where we are now to what we could become. And if you look at life, that you could become something every day. You could become 1% better every day. Trust me, you just keep working towards that. You'll start accomplishing even greater things than what you already have. That's why I say you had some success in 2024. Let's get some consistency now. Let's drive this momentum into 25 and start accomplishing even more on a regular basis and see what we can become. Excuse me. I'm gonna get some water and I'm gonna take a break and get some water and I'm gonna come back and we're gonna talk about breaking free from the mental quicksand, what you can do to really step your game up and really move forward and start implementing into your life to start changing things. We'll be back in shortly. As we look at the momentum, creating momentum in our life, we're talking about the mental quicksand dilemma. How do you break free and stay free? So we're going to talk about now breaking free from the momentum, from the mental quicksand that's holding us back. We've explored the mental quicksand concept and how it holds us back. But now we got to see what we can do to really break free from that. So what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about building resilience and confidence and courage. We're talking about developing a growth mindset. A lot of times we're stuck because we believe we've accomplished all we can accomplish and we're not growing anymore. We're not learning. I'll give you another example. Go back to my journey. That night when the man asked me those 3 questions that changed my life, that were my aha moment. The next day when I went to his house to start learning how to change my life, what he does to grow personal, to create his own personal growth opportunities, is he asked me, "What are you reading?" I'm like, "What?" He said, "What are you reading?" And I said, "Nothing," because when it came down to it, at 30 years old, the only book I had ever read was The Godfather from cover to cover. Anything else in school, I cheated. I read part of it and then wrote a book report. Hey, don't judge me. I'm sure somebody out there did it. But anyway, I had never read a book from cover to cover. If it didn't have pictures, it didn't interest me. I didn't have time. I would fall asleep. It bored me right off the bat. I was of that mindset before I even started. But what he told me was that in those books that he was showing me were nuggets for success, blueprints to create a better future. And I'm like, oh, I got to read these things. And so what I started doing, I used to use an excuse. I don't have time. I'm too busy. I got so many other things to do. Well, the reason I didn't have time was I was watching a lot of sports on television. I was hanging out. I was drinking. I was wasting a lot of time. So what I did was I made time for myself. Yes, we all have 24 hours in a day, but it's how you use those 24 hours will determine your level of success, what you can accomplish in life. So what I did was I made a choice to start reading every night before I went to bed. Why at night before I went to bed? Because at that point, my wife was going to sleep, my kids were in bed, and there was some quiet time for me to focus on me. And so I started reading. Again, I started reading books like Think and Grow Rich. I started reading books like The Millionaire Next Door. How Dr. Dennis Kimbro is my favorite. What Makes the Great Great, and Live Your Dreams. Just books that talked about people who were changing their lives and how they went about doing it. And one thing you learn when you read about this is that these people were just like you at one point. They were stuck. They were trying to find a way. And they decided to make a choice. And that's what you got to do, is make a choice. Make the choice that greatness over mediocrity is the way to go for you. And then be great, you got to make the choice to improve yourself. Be a continuous learner, consistently learning how to take your life to another level, and then putting yourself around others who are doing the same. Because, hey, it's infectious, right? You see people succeeding and you start joining in, doing those things that they're doing, and you start seeing success at your level. And what's even greater is that when you start seeing a success, doing the thing that you love to do, you start seeing how it affects the people who are around you, people who once looked at you as unsuccessful, as somebody who was never going to accomplish great things in life or just do anything more than what they were already doing. So you have what it takes. You just got to make the time. That 24 hours in a day, how are you spending it? How can you better spend it, right? How can you improve the way you spend your time? Very important. And that building resilience piece and the courage, you got to be willing to take a risk. I think many times people won't take that risk and to see what's out there. They won't step off that ledge to see if they can fly. And I believe I can fly. And I don't necessarily have to have wings where I'm flying up there with the eagles, uh, realistically, right? But in my head, I can fly above where I'm at right now. I can accomplish those things that I never thought I could do. I can do something better than where I am right now. I can always improve. I can always see life at a higher level. I can always see things differently. I don't always have to be a failure. I don't always have to be stuck. I don't always have to be broke. I don't always have to be at a job I don't like. I don't always have to be around people I don't want to be around. I have a choice, and so do you. Um, Cultivating self-awareness and self-acceptance is another way. Many times we're stuck because we don't know who we are. I'm a big believer that once we're smacked on our butt at birth, we begin to breathe. Our job is to take this life's puzzle that comes with no pretty pattern, picture, or design. It has no instructions. All we know is we got these blank pieces that we got to put together, and we got to find the people to help us put them together, right? That we can connect with. But if we don't connect with who we are, we start connecting with the wrong people, and the puzzle becomes jagged. Has gaps, missing pieces, and we don't know where we're going. So when we get to that point where we're stuck in our mental quicksand, part of it is because we don't know who we are, what value we bring to this world, that we even bring value to this world. So when we connect with who we are, understanding our personality trait, understanding how we operate in certain situations, understanding what we really value in life, and then operating in the strengths that we bring, man, the game changes. That puzzle becomes, those pieces, those gaps start filling in, and you start connecting with people who you can help. You start connecting with people who can help you. More importantly, you start connecting with everybody and putting together this puzzle where you're now helping others. So I think that's very important. So if you cultivate that self-awareness piece, and start accepting who you are, you're not perfect. You don't look like the books, the magazines say you should look. But I'm telling you what, I think I told somebody the other day, you are perfect in your imperfectness, and just keep it moving. God made you the way you're supposed to be made, the way you were supposed to look, the way you were supposed to operate, and you just operate in that and just keep it moving. I don't care what nobody else say about me, because their opinion don't matter, and neither should you. You shouldn't worry about anybody else's. So keep it moving, keep it going. Don't worry about it. Then overfearing that self-doubt, overcoming that fear and that self-doubt. Yeah, you don't know what's coming tomorrow. Yeah, you don't know what's on the other side of that wall. I like the story where it talks about three soldiers were captured, in a time of war. And before they were put to death, they were given the choice. You can either die by guns firing squad, or you can go through that door over there. And they go, well, they asked the question, well, what's on the other side of the door? And the man said, only unknown horrors. Nobody's ever come back to tell us. And so in that fear, they chose the firing squad, something that was definitely going to give them death, rather than to walk through the door and find out what was out there and then running into it. You see, on the other side of that door was freedom. And they were scared to even take that chance, to take that risk, because in their own mental quicksand, they start formulating this picture of this horrible death that they would fall victim to. And so they never took that opportunity. They just said, took the bullet to the head. So I really want to tell you, take the risk, man. Open that door of doubt. You know, you don't have to, like I said, you don't have to have all the answers. You just got to go out there and take your shot. On the other side of that door, hey, get out there and find out what's out there. You'll never know. I'm telling you, I'd rather take a chance to find out that it wasn't what I thought it was than to sit back and go, I wonder if, I had an opportunity, but I didn't. I don't want you to be that way. I want you to take your shot. Try it. Just see what it's like out there on the other side of the door. Take your chance. Don't live in disbelief. Don't live in fear. Don't allow that to guide you to a life where you're not happy and you're making other people unhappy as well. Just know that other people see you in your unhappiness and they're not happy for you. So understand you're affecting other people's lives. And some people won't be able to sit back and watch you in that hot wither away in your unhappiness. And so they'll leave you in your unhappiness and they'll move on because they don't want your energy to dog their energy. So just know that that'll happen. So embracing uncertainty, that imperfection, I told you, uncertainty is your friend. You don't have all the answers for a reason. Not having all the answers means you have to do some research. Not having all the answers means it's an opportunity for you to grow. Not having all the answers means that you get some new information to help you put that puzzle together to move on to the next level. Uncertainty is your friend, my friend. So embrace uncertainty. Man, this is the greatest thing. Some of the things that I've ever accomplished in life, I had no clue as to what I was doing. I tell you what, many people that I hang around with now, many people that I've got a chance to work with, be mentored by Dr. Willie Jolly, the great Les Brown, Dr. John Maxwell. Those people, man, I can name, I got a list of them, but I can tell you that many of the things that I've been able to accomplish, I had no clue what was going to happen. I just said yes. And if you start saying yes to things that you really want to do, and you start saying yes to take a risk and to challenge yourself and embrace the uncertainty, I'm telling you, your life will change significantly. Don't be a fool. You recognize when people are trying to con you, but I'm telling you, there are things out there that you want to accomplish. And if you put yourself around those people you want to be around and you start learning from them and accepting the opportunities to write a book, to speak on a show, to stand on a stage at the National Press Club, in Washington, D.C., to speak at Columbia University in New York. Those things can change your life, my friends. You have the opportunity to accomplish so much. And I'll give you this. Um, when you when you think about this dilemma that's holding you back, that is mental quicksand, this state of mind that's smothering your ability and that's keeping you from moving forward in your life. What I want you to remember is that there are staggering statistics of people who have allowed mental quicksand to hold them back. And they're just looking for opportunities to come out. And I know, like you, they're ready to take the change, take that step to move forward. You're ready to break free. And so you've got to start with saying yes. You got to start by working on yourself. As Mel Robbins talked about earlier, that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, when you find yourself just going down, spiraling down into your anxiety, spiraling down into negativity, spiraling down in your debt, doubt, fear, and worry. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now get up, Eric. Let's go. That's what you got to do. Let's go. I know there's something I need to do today. I don't really feel like doing it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. Go do it. Telling you, do the things you want to do. Otherwise, you'll start regretting what you never did. You always ask yourself, would it have changed my life? I'm telling you it would, but you got to find out for yourself. You just got to do it. We talked about the common traits of being stuck. Like I said, fear, doubt, a lack of courage, not willing to take a risk, not believing in yourself, that imposter syndrome. Those things will hold you back for years. Overcome these things. And then the strategies, you got to build resilience. You got to embrace uncertainty. You're not perfect. All these different things that are holding you back. You got to embrace this, man. You got to step up and start working on yourself. The self-awareness piece, I speak, I coach, I mentor, and I assess behavior. When I work with people on my coaching, the first thing we do is assess their behavior. We take a look at how they operate in challenging times, how they're operating when it's just a normal, free, relaxing day, and then how they're operating amongst and communicating with their teams. Why? Because when we change things in your personal life, eventually you can start incorporating these things in your professional, your financial, your spiritual, your health and well-being, all these different aspects of your life. You can change. So the focus has got to be on that self-awareness piece first. And as you do that, you'll start connecting this puzzle that you're creating into this infinite puzzle that changes lives and changes your lives and impacts others' lives. And it creates this momentum shift where everybody that you're working with are starting to experience the same things. So I want to thank you for joining me. This has been a great show. I really wanted to talk about mental quicksand. I've talked about it a lot, but I never really gotten a chance to dive into some of the aspects that really hold you back. Some of the things about mental quicksand that can keep you from really becoming the best version of you. There's a poem that I like because I want to help you with that self-awareness piece, and it's by Edgar Albert Guest, and it's titled "Equipped." Or I can. And it goes like this. It goes, figure it out for yourself, my lad. You've all that the greatest of men have had. 2 arms, 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 eyes, and a brain to use if you would be wise. With your equipment, they all began. So start from the top and say I can. Look them over, the wise and great. They take their food from a common plate. With similar knives and forks they use, with similar laces they tie their shoes. The world considers them brave and smart, but you've all they had when they made their start. You can triumph and come to skill. You can be great if only you will. You're well equipped for what life you choose. You have legs and arms and a brain to use. And the man who has risen with great deeds to do, begin his life with no more than you. You are the handicap that you must face. You are the one who must choose your place. You must decide where you want to go, how much you'll study the truth to know that God has created you for life, yet He lets you decide what you want to be. Courage must come from the soul within. A man must furnish the will to win. So figure it out for yourself, my lad. You've all that the greatest of men have had. With your equipment, they all began. Get hold of yourself and say, I can. I'm going to leave you with that, ladies and gentlemen, because you too have all that the great have had, where they started. You started exactly where they started. 2 arms, 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 eyes, and a brain to use if you would be wise. And I can tell you, if you did not start like that, you are meant to be here in the manner in which you have approached this world or come into this world, because you have value as well. You bring something that other people can't even talk to. You can impact this world by doing the things that you do on a daily basis, but you got to believe in yourself. You got to step your game up and become the person that you could become. That gap that you're facing is large, but I'm telling you, you have all that you need to get there. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show. I'm your host, C. Eric Collier, and I want to thank you for joining me. Until next time, always keep pushing, because nobody's going to do it for you. Believe in yourself and break free and stay free from mental quicksand. Take care.
Thank you for joining The Momentum Shift, a show bringing you interviews and stories of incredible people to help you get inspired, get moving, and get results to ultimately create the life-changing momentum shift that will improve your life. Join host Eric Collier, the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern for The Momentum Shift, the show and change you've been looking for.